Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Outcast. Another fantastic episode. Basically, we have Kyle, basically leaving everything behind. After him and the Reverend had that big blow up last episode, he's just kind of like, you know what? Screw all this demon crap. He's working construction on roads and stuff, pavements. He's got a job. He's getting paid. He's trying to send the money to Allison. Obviously, Allison's not taking it. But him and Megan were talking, and Megan's like, "Oh, don't worry. I see the fact is you're trying to get your life back together, and she'll see it. Like, granted, she doesn't see it now, but she will eventually because he just wants to take care of his little girl." But all this is happening because he found out last episode, like, oh, I touched Allison. She's not freaking out. It's like she's not possessed. So, he's going to try and work his best to he's trying to put all this stuff behind him. He's trying his best to be like, yo, I get my life together. I keep doing this. I work hard and prove to Allison I'm okay. Then I'll get my life back. But granted, obviously, let's not forget, Allison's still pissed at him because the fact is he won't tell her what exactly happened. Then, like I said, we still don't have the full picture. We have an idea, but we still don't have a full picture of what went down. So maybe that's one thing in this episode. It's just kind of like, okay, maybe that's one thing that Allison's still holding a grudge against him. Obviously, she's afraid of him on some regards, but I mean, it seems like that might have disappeared too, because the fact of the matter is she got close to him. She even kissed him last episode. So obviously she still has feelings for him, but it's just like, I don't know how to interpret that whole situation. I feel like there's still something more to the whole Allison thing. Like, maybe she's not possessed, but that still doesn't explain that situation. I guess that's why they're purposely hiding it from us, because maybe there's stuff that happened that Kyle doesn't remember because he blacked out, just like with the situation with his mom. He doesn't remember the fact is that thing came out of his mom. So, but on the other side of this episode, we have the Reverend, who's basically falling apart. You see dozens of tapes of all the different people he quote unquote exorcised, and it's just like he's basically being spit in the face every video he's looking at, just like how much of a failure he is. And even confides in the sheriff and ends up telling the sheriff, yeah, this whole thing was a lie. I'm a charlatan. Get in line. You want to hate me for it? Just, everyone, obviously he hates himself more so than anything. It kind of gets put in perspective. He's been doing this for 20 years, and everything he's done for the past 20 years has amounted to nothing. All these people he's quote-unquote exorcised, no. So that was kind of interesting. We even see, because we see him and Patricia, because Patricia obviously has feelings for him, but he keeps her at a distance because he didn't want to kind of show her, what he was doing. She really likes him, but she doesn't want to be, kept in the dark about it. And, she basically brought up the fact is that she's divorced. Basically, her husband, she was married to him for 17 years, but she knew more about him from stuff about him she learned from a glove box than throughout their entire marriage, because she didn't really know him, and she didn't want to kind of a repeat of that. So the Reverend kind of let her in on what he does fighting the demons, and she kind of sees it firsthand. We never know who the person was specifically, but that's why that devil, because the sheriff had brought it up early in the episode. It's like, oh, what about that? He's like, oh, there's some kids. I was like, wait, what was that whole scene about? It was kind of to already tell you who the person was. It was basically the handyman that kind of handles stuff around the church, covering stuff up, like the paint. I mean, on occasion, the Reverend did it, but he's kind of a handyman around, and it was, I think his name's Caleb, and basically, he ended up being the one that was possessed. But basically, the Reverend was just like, no, I can do this. Oh, yeah, Kyle can do it. He basically cut his finger because it was in Kyle's blood. They think Kyle's so fucking special. He's not special. If it was in his blood, maybe it's in my blood too. Patricia's like, okay, I'll get Kyle. He's like, no, fuck Kyle. He thinks he's special. He's not anything special. I can do this. If you don't believe in me, then get the hell out of here, essentially. And she left. It's just kind of sad because, like I said, it's that pride thing. He kind of brings it up in the episode. He's like, he feels like he thought he was doing God's will, but he thinks maybe I wasn't. Maybe I was pretending I was. Maybe it's because I enjoyed it, the power and the praise, being the attention I got from doing God's will of exercising these people. He loved all the attention, and he's like, maybe he kind of got swept up in, like I said, it's pride. He wasn't willing to admit that he was wrong. And no, I wouldn't say he lost his faith, but was always on stable ground when it came to things. But now, because of recent events, the ground beneath him has become very like wobbly. It's like there's no stable ground beneath him, and he's kind of like struggling to keep the structure from completely collapsing beneath him. The ground from completely collapsing beneath him. I completely destroyed my own analogy. I'm sorry about that. But it's very interesting to see that, see him kind of falling apart in this episode. Him and Kyle finally meet up in the episode, and they're kind of going at it because Kyle's like, yo, like, we have to work together, like, because Mildred tried to attack him, which still not understanding 100% of what it is they're trying to take from Kyle. All I know is that Sydney basically pulled her off of him because it's like, you could have jeopardized everything doing what you did. Now, when we see Mildred later on in the episode, she's kind of in that comatose state. So either the thing inside of her died, maybe, because, like, I don't know. I think, they need, like I said, I brought it up before, still not a clear picture of what it is, but maybe they do need to feed every once in a while. Maybe it has something to do with the bodies they possess. Maybe it has something to do with the demons themselves. I don't know. Nevertheless, she looked like she was better because she actually left her walker there and she walked away. So it seems like she was okay. Or maybe that's just part of naturally being, possessed. Maybe she was naturally already like that because she beat the crap out of him. Like Kyle just came to the door. She took that cane and just like, bam. Well, not cane, but her walker that knocked him out like that. I was like, wow. So, but basically, I don't know, maybe that's not the case. Maybe Sydney actually pulled it out of her just to punish him. And the fact is, Sydney keeps talking about, is it Norval, the old man that lived across from Kyle? Like, oh, he was this kind of man, and, it does seem like he legitimately cares. So maybe, maybe the entire time him and Sydney knew each other, he actually knew the thing inside of Sydney. I don't know. But essentially, you have like Kyle and the Reverend coming together and just being like, the Reverend's pissed at him, just like, no, screw you. You up here talking about God's basically abandoned me, basically spitting in his face about his faith last episode, just being like he's an idiot for believing. So, when the time came down to it to try and exercise that guy, the Reverend was just like, no, I'll do this. I'll do it. I don't need your help. I'll do this. It was just so, like I said, his pride was hurt, one of the deadliest of all sins is pride, and it's just kind of like you see his hubris just knows no end. It's just like, because he's, like I said, he wants desperately to be special, because he wants it so that everything he did for these past 20 years wasn't total bullshit, but he can't, because everything he's done has pretty much been worthless. And like I said, he hasn't completely lost his faith, but it has made him question it, because it's like he thought he was on the right path this entire time for the past 20 years doing the right thing, and it all amounted to nothing. But Kyle was able to get the demon out of Caleb. Didn't have to use his blood, just touched him and was able to draw it out. Like when he had his hands up like that, I was like, is he doing that to it, lifting it up like that? It just disappears. So I was like, what's Kyle? Makes you wonder, like, what can Kyle actually do? Can he pull demons out of people and then like rip them apart, like actually kill them? I mean, we refer to them as demons, but we don't really know what they are per se. That's what the Reverend refers to them as. And even Kyle was like, we don't know where they come from, or who exactly is possessed, when he's talking to the sheriff later on. But fact of the matter is, what's very interesting about Caleb is, like, he was like, I didn't, he's like, oh, there's always told that, you're touched by the devil, there's going to be like essentially an evil spot kind of on your soul. It's just like, you'll feel it when the devil touches you, just the darkness swelling inside you. But he didn't feel darkness, he felt warmth. So it's like, wait, what does this mean? Because the Reverend was like, I need you to go to church, basically instill the fear in the people, let them know, it's like, be wary of demons. But it's kind of like, she's like, no. It's kind of like, I don't know where everything, like, what that all means. Like, are they bad? Are they good? Like, what is their ultimate goal? To me, their ultimate goal seems to be, because even Sydney told the thing inside of Mildred, is like, we're not here to have fun. You're not supposed to be here having fun. It's like, we're on a mission. It's like I said, my interpretation of it is to basically bring both worlds together, bring their brethren, or compatriots from their world into this one for whatever reason. Maybe they're actually trying to run away from something or someone. Sydney seems to be the top dog, but we don't know for sure. Maybe there's someone above him. Maybe there actually is someone he's afraid of. Maybe that's what he's trying to do, get him and his compatriots to escape from something. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, Kyle is the key. That's why you said he was so pissed at Mildred, because like you could have killed him and basically you would have screwed over all these plans. You know how many lives you would have cost doing what you did. So I don't know. What I really like in this episode was the fact of the matter is it's kind of like Kyle was so quick. He wanted to leave this all behind because of what happened to that girl Charlotte last episode. He was just like, I'm not doing this anymore. Even that conversation he had with Patricia, because he wanted to leave it behind because he didn't want to make it. He's like, if I don't act, it'd be better than me making, acting, because it's like the moment I try to do anything, a situation like Charlotte would happen again. And that was kind of like his fear. So. But it seems like he realizes now, I have no choice. I have to fight back. He thought he could get back to his family just by doing things the right way, but it's like, that's not the case. These things will always come after him. They're always targeting him for whatever reason, whatever it is about him, they're targeting him. And he will never be able to go back to his family. His family will never be safe if he doesn't deal with them, so he's got to fight. So, but him and the Reverend are kind of teaming up again. Basically, because you go to church, you do your thing in church, but when we deal with these demons, I'm the one. You follow my lead. We're no longer doing things your way when it comes to them. So, it'd be very interesting to see how, with this new change, we've seen how the Reverend's reacting to it, because later on in the episode, he's just like, he's pissed and he throws a cup against a wall. So it's very interesting to see what this new dynamic of their teamwork is. And at the very end of the episode, there is something else I'm going to get to real quickly, but actually two more things I want to get to. But obviously at the end of the episode, we have Sydney carving that looks like a pentagram into the Reverend's chest. I was worried. I was like, oh, is he about to put something inside of him? We did see that Patricia's son was there kind of eyeballing him. I was thinking that little tool was kind of possessed, because he's like, yo, like, Mom, you're dating all these dicks. Like, you have sex with them just so you can make sure, in some hope that they stay with him. I'm like, the way he's talking, she must be, I was like, oh, in the back of her mind, after what she's experienced today, she's going to think he's possessed or something. But no, that wasn't the case. Turns out he's most likely not possessed. It's just a dick. He's a bit of a jerk. But granted, it's like, he doesn't like the way, like, his mom is pushing herself in these situations to have a man in her life, and they all treat her like crap. They kind of leave her kind of beaten down and broken. And, he's like, I'll be 18 soon enough, and I won't have to be around here anymore. Because, whatever the situation is with her ex-husband, his dad, it's just like, she kind of got knocked up, and they were just kind of forced to be together. Not necessarily that she loved him, and maybe not necessarily that he loved her. Maybe he loved her, but maybe she didn't love him. But it's just kind of out of circumstance. We have a kid together, we have to stay together, type of thing. So maybe that's just me reading too much into the situation. Now, the other side of things, got two sides of things. Got the whole thing with the girl. Last episode I brought it up. It's like, how can Mark just listen to a conversation? I thought he only talked to the sister, but the girl whose DNA matched the nail, it's like, okay, this is her. She's sitting down. She's talking to him, but she's saying nothing went down. She's like, basically, how dare you sit here and talk to me? Oh, you're a big brawling man. You can handle yourself. But I was a lady. You know how much courage it took just to leave everything behind to try and get away from your boyfriend, especially one who, alluding to the fact that he was abusive, and she just wanted to get away from him, essentially. But it seems like she's covering up, because whatever it is connected to, like, that camper that I thought he was a head of the fire department. I don't know whether he's that or is he an EMT. I don't know. Like, I saw him there and I thought he was head of the fire department, chief at the fire department. Maybe he is, or maybe he is an EMT. I don't really know. I'm starting to lean maybe actually he's not part of the fire department. Maybe he is an EMT. Nevertheless, they do have a connection. Basically, we saw his wife kind of peeking out through the window because she saw them talking. But basically, she's bringing up the fact is that she's not talking, but she's kind of alluding to whatever they got up to in there. And there's still not a clear picture of what exactly that was that they got up to in that. I don't know. They're keeping very tight lip about it, but they do know that the sheriff is looking into it. Well, specifically, not that the sheriff is looking into it, because the sheriff has been very smart about it. He's kept his distance away from it. That way, that the guy doesn't know, like, oh, I'm investigating it. He thinks the only person looking into it is Mark. So that's kind of interesting, especially when the sheriff ends up looking at a picture from in Mildred's house and seeing that, oh, there's a connection to that camper, as well as the like I said, whether he's the fire chief or EMT, whatever position he's in. Now, on the other side of this episode, we also had the whole Megan situation where she got a call from, isn't his name Donnie? I think so. Is it Donnie? I don't remember now. The guy that basically raped her when she was a little kid. Essentially, him basically brings up, like, yeah, Mark beat the crap out of me. Now, things could go two ways. I can say, like, I forgot who beat me up. I didn't get a clear picture because I was so drunk. Or I can get my lawyer in here and let things kind of be handled that way and tell them it was Mark. Basically ruin their lives. Basically, he's blackmailing her, and it's like, I don't know how far that blackmail is going to go. Like, he makes it seem like, oh, I was going to leave town and it was going to be fine and dandy, but it's like, no, you're putting yourself in this situation, because if you're a smart person, you'd know not to do that, because Mark is a cop and he can most likely kill you and make it look like an accident. But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, in regards, not necessarily that Mark would do that, but I mean, he did beat the crap out of the guy for, like, what he did to, like, Megan back in the day. So, but the fact is, he's blackmailing her, and he's been like, oh yeah, like, we're going, basically, essentially almost saying we're going to have fun. So it does seem like I'm interpreting it as, like, sexual stuff. He's going to, like, try and force her hand and be like, we have to hook up, or I'm going to tell everyone what your husband did to me. Basically saying I might have brain damage and I might have seizures for the rest of my life. It's kind of like, well, maybe you should have never came back to town. Maybe you shouldn't. I don't know. Do I feel sorry for him? No. I just feel bad that the whole situation, because I knew it was going to come back to haunt Mark. I knew Mark didn't kill him. I knew it was just like he beat him up to a pulp, but, it's coming back to haunt him. But Megan hasn't told Mark about it. She's just silently being mad at him. So that's as far as Dad's gotten this episode. So very interested to see where things go in that department next episode as well. So much stuff popping up in this episode. Still many questions that need to be answered. And hopefully we get some of those answers. But that's really all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.